Hey, you guys. Let's talk about something that is long overdue, and that is the whole debacle of estrogen. Is estrogen causing breast cancer? So we are still in the October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. If you follow us for a while, you know we kind of rebranded it to Breast Health Month, really, because we are all very well aware that breast cancer is a problem. So I don't think we need more awareness. What we need more of is prevention and having conversations around what can you do to help yourself, and then, is it really true that estrogen causes breast cancer? And the answer is yes and no. And so it's not a plain black and white of avoid all estrogen because that causes breast cancer. Without estrogen, we can't function as women. So I want to talk about this today because it is a highly controversial topic that needs education. Even physicians who are not specialized in functional oncology and understanding how estrogen works and their latest research behind it make that sweeping statement of just saying to their patients, avoid all estrogens because it's going to give you breast cancer. So the effect of it is that women are so scared of estrogen, including, we get emails on a regular basis saying, oh my God, there is flaxseed in your recipes. You're recommending for estrogen dominance flaxseed, which contains phytoestrogens, naturally occurring estrogens. And I had breast cancer. And my doctor said I should be avoiding estrogen at all costs. What's going on? And so the end result of that is that woman is deprived of estrogen, which affects her quality of life in huge ways. Guys, we cannot function without sufficient amounts of levels of estrogen. We were designed as women. That's what makes us women, is having sufficient levels of estrogen. This means everything from, let's go from top down, everything from your brain function, how quickly you can recall things, how quickly you can think, but also your sense of motivation and inspiration for doing things. How many of you here have been having this whole thing of menopause, perimenopause? You walk into a room, you don't remember what you walked in for, right? That's your estrogen dropping. And then looking at your skin, like skin's beginning to sag, right? Your muscle form is not the same. That's your estrogen. Let's go down. Your breast need estrogen. You have the highest number of receptors in your breast, as well as uterus for estrogen. Then let's go down there, right? Is your whole vaginal health, including your your microbiome, depends on sufficient levels of estrogen. As your estrogen starts dropping, a lot of bacterial changes start happening. And so women in perimenopause and menopause, not surprisingly, develop a lot of the times BV, bacterial vaginitis, or suddenly find that they're having UTIs, like as if they were having, crazy sex like in college, right? And that is because of estrogen dropping, but also the thickness of the skin down there. It's the level of satisfaction, the moisture, right? All depends on estrogen. What about our bones? Your bones don't just need calcium and D3, you guys, and K2, but it's also estrogen and progesterone play a critical role in that. This is the reason why women whose estrogen is dropping are having osteopenia and osteoporosis, right? Not young women. It's all related to estrogen. So estrogen matters. We need estrogen as women to function properly. And it saddens me that there's a blanket that has just been, thrown onto women and saying, well, if you have history of cancer, you've had, for example, history of estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, anything to do with estrogen, you absolutely have to avoid it. And it's a gross oversimplification, because that is not the case with when it comes to the endocrine system. What it requires us is for us to understand that there are good estrogens that are bad estrogens, for starters. So let's just talk a little bit about that. So majority of cancers in the United States, in most developed countries, are what we call estrogen receptor positive breast cancers. And by the way, when you have progesterone receptor positive breast cancer, those progesterone receptors are actually upregulated by estrogen as well. So the root cause of the issue is estrogen dominance. but also damage to the DNA. We're going to talk about that in just a second. So what is really important for us to understand is that not all estrogen is bad, okay? So for those of you who have done your, for example, testing with Dutch, DUTCH, you would have seen how your estrone gets then metabolized to the 2, 4, and 16 hydroxyestrones. And that shows you how well is your liver has the ability to detoxify you from those hormones, to break down those hormones. How well are you pooping? So you're evacuating these hormones. How well are you, what is your genetic component? There is the COMT gene that codes for enzymes that convert it to the 16 hydroxyestrone. That is a protective kind of estrogen that we need. So if I was to just simplify it, especially for those of you who haven't done this test, is that it is basically you're looking at clean estrogens that are protective, that help you function as a woman, that gives you all the things that I talked about: strong bones, good mental alertness and brain function, nice quality of skin, vaginal health. And then you have the dirty, what I call the dirty estrogens. And there's a big difference there. So let's not demonize estrogens because they are not the problem. Is that dirty estrogen specifically that is the issue? So women who are being told that all estrogen is bad, especially if you have had a history of estrogen breast cancer, estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, is a big disservice. It also shows the lack of education on the physician's part to really understand what is estrogen and which kind of estrogen causes a problem. Let me give you an example. I wrote an extensive article about flaxseed, right? And there is research behind it. So if you go to our blog, hormonesbalance.com, there is an article called Flaxseed, Good or Bad, right? And, on one hand, flaxseed contains phytoestrogens. Those are estrogens that are naturally occurring in food. And it's a wonderful thing. And then we get regularly people saying, you don't know what you're talking about. You're recommending estrogens in food is going to cause breast cancer. Far from it. In fact, there is research, and I'm citing all of that in the article, that shows a couple of things. Number one is that flaxseed actually helps you to skew the balance away from the 2 and the 4 over to the 16 hydroxyestrone, the protective estrogen. The other thing that flaxseed does is it blocks receptors for those dirty estrogens from coming through and doing further damage. So it's a very nuanced, understanding of a food, right? And interestingly, pomegranates, for example, is another really good example of, I just sent out an email. We sent out an email, I think last Sunday, I think it was, about pomegranates. And I wrote this whole history about pomegranates. And I have a love and appreciation for my pomegranates from my Iranian friends and Indian friends, because in Iran is often used for women in menopause to reduce hot flashes because it elevates estrogen. But in India, for instance, pomegranates are being given to young couples who just got married, and that is to improve fertility. So how can it be it's the same food containing the same thing can have such a different function? And so there is something called SERM, selective estrogen receptor modulator, that's found in flaxseed, but it's also in pomegranates. And what it means is the reason why it is called selective is because it works on depending on what the body needs at a time that it needs it. Such is the beauty of food and nutrition. But sadly, not everybody understands that. So if you just look up SERM pomegranates, even on PubMed, and send it to your physician, I'll be very curious to see what his or her opinion is going to be on how bad estrogens can be in food. So the question is, what can you do? What can you do in order to really help yourself, right? And that's part of the reason why I like Dutch for testing. Look, I'm not paid by those labs. I'm completely independent from, we don't even make any income from those labs. The reason why I'm recommending Dutch is because this is the piece that I feel like it's missing is saliva testing. Saliva testing doesn't show us how well you're breaking down those estrogens to those clean estrogens and those dirty estrogens. Saliva testing is going to show you the three different types of estrogens, which is okay. but it's not going to show you, for example, how effective is your microbiome and your liver, which is where the estrogens get broken down. And so this, I think this is one big missing piece in a big way. So I just, with full transparency, I will just share with you my whole health journey has been that for the past year, I've been really feeling the effects of perimenopause. And so I decided to first go on DHEA, and then just recently, just about a month ago, I also added topical transdermal estradiol, because that showed me that I'm low. And I have been feeling huge improvements, everything from my mental function improving, the quality of my skin improving, my strength improving, my sense of motivation improving. So there's been a lot of changes. I've tried food, wasn't working for me. But because of history of breast cancers in my family, I've also been doing a lot of testing. I've done a Dutch test just about 3 months ago, and I'm going to do it again in another 3-4 months, just to monitor every 6 months to see how I'm breaking down all that additional estrogen. Because remember, DHEA also converts to estradiol, which is the most aggressive form of estrogen. And we don't want to have too much of it, but also we don't want to have too little of it. How are you converting? That's only the way to know is by measuring that through your urine test. So that's I hope this helps you understand like why, I talked about pomegranates and flaxseed, but there's also a lot of other things like maca, right, can elevate estrogen levels. Then you have things like black cohosh or things like dong quai, right, Angelica sinensis, that are also given to women, for example, in menopause and perimenopause, to help them reduce a lot of the menopausal symptoms. Siberian rhubarb is another one. They all have efficacy of elevating estrogen levels. And so one of the things that women post breast cancer are told, don't touch any of these herbs. And this is a gross misunderstanding. So I hope you know that from this conversation here. And I am working on an article that kind of summarizes all of this, so you can actually print it out and take it to your physician. Is that what pains me a lot is that it decreases the quality of a woman's life. When you're low on estrogen, your motivation is low, your bones are getting weaker, your cardiovascular health is going to suffer in a matter of time. Your sense of just even a sense of energy, mood swings can vary, right? Your sense of forgetfulness, your brain is just not as sharp anymore. I've met women before who have had to quit their jobs as writers. I met one specific journalist, and she said she had to quit her job because she couldn't function anymore because of lack of estrogen, and her doctor would not put her on any bioidentical hormones. Now, having said all of this, I want to just also preface it that there is something called the window, and the window is a window of time when doing bioidentical hormones is not advised, okay? And you can talk to your physician and pursue a completely different course of action, and that's absolutely your choice. I'm just sharing with you what I've inquired through my training on functional endocrinology and what the research shows. So the window is basically a time when it's safe for women to start on bioidentical hormones. And the window is that let me just maybe start off this way. When you should not be starting bioidentical hormones, and especially estrogen, is after the age 65 or 10 years after your menopause started. Okay, I'll repeat this. After age 65 or 10 years after your menopause has already started. Okay, for example, I'm 50 right now, so I'm still within the window that it's safe for me to do it. I still think that because of my family history of breast cancers, estrogenic cancers, I've committed to doing Dutch tests every 6 months to monitor how well I'm breaking down those estrogens. So I hope this is helping you just to gain a little bit more confidence and education around not having to be, afraid of seed rotation and flaxseed and these herbs that we talk about. And if you want to work with a physician to get on bioidentical hormones, right, that could be one other thing that you shouldn't be scared of. And if your physician is telling you that hormones are causing cancer, then clearly this person has not been educated on the topic. And I would suggest you move on to someone who is well educated, well researched. That whole fear of hormones started with the WHI, Women's Health Initiative, and it has demonized hormones. It's a completely is very sad about what it did to the medical industry. But that's why, so many of you are here to help yourself through TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, because of the inadequacy of that information. So one of the things I promised you to talk about today is like, what are the 5 prevention methods when it comes to breast cancer, but also just generally, the things I'm going to tell you about. I mean, this stuff is so baseline that I think anyone who wants to be healthy should be doing them. So let's just start off with the first one. So the first one on a prevention method is going to be your diet. Okay. If you're new to this, I am a published author with Cooking for Hormone Balance, and then Overcoming Estrogen Dominance is my second book. That is a beautiful book that talks about breast cancer. There's a whole protocol in that as well. The diet is not just anti-inflammatory and, but it's also full of, it's not just about like what you should be avoiding, right? So yeah, sure, I am avoiding all the inflammatory foods in the diet. Yes, but it's also packed with nutrients, and it's packed with colors and nutritionally rich vegetables and foods. And if you follow us on Instagram, you might have seen, for example, just recently, I started doing, as part of my mold protocol, I've just shared some videos on social about my own battles with mold. So that's another topic. I don't want to talk too much about this today, but part of the whole mold protocol is that I have to avoid all grains and zero sugar, obviously zero alcohol and stuff. And so what I did was I am not allowed to do mashed potatoes. And I was like, we're going into cold months. I really miss mashed potatoes, and not even sweet potatoes. So I roasted some acorn squash, and then I roasted some turnips. You can also use rutabaga, and then roasted them and then put them in a blender, took the skin off, peeled the skin off somewhat, not all. Put it in a blender with some olive oil, salt, nutritional yeast, and it's delicious, right? But it's also nutrient packed. In fact, it's a lot more nutrient packed than a mashed potato would be. So, double benefit of that. So there is a diet piece, right? Going away from, guys, sugar is your biggest enemy when it comes to any form of cancers. Okay, alcohol converts to sugar when it gets metabolized in the body. So if you're talking about prevention, this is going to be lowering inflammation from the food. Packaged food full of sugar is going to be your biggest winning point and setting yourself up for big success. Second thing, when it comes to prevention is, let's talk about, Jen, can we have like at the bottom of the thing, like the topic, like number 2 and number 3. So the number 2 would be, let's just maybe talk about liver support, since it's kind of close to food. So, what you heard me talk about just now is liver support, the importance of liver support, because the liver is one of the biggest organs that's going to help you detoxify your estrogens from clean to dirty estrogens. And that's really, really important. So detoxifying your liver could mean, first of all, when you get on an anti-inflammatory diet, right, that's free of gluten, dairy, soy, corn, processed foods, reduced sugar, your liver is going to love it right away. So that's the first winning part to it. The other thing is to support your liver. And by the way, all my books have a whole liver protocol, including foods to incorporate. So anything that's bitter, right? So like, for example, having a dandelion root tea at night after dinner, or incorporating a lot of the cruciferous vegetables, right? So like the broccoli and cauliflower and arugula and mustard greens and rutabaga and radishes, whether it's cooked or fresh, raw, are all wonderful. Tons of cilantro and parsley, because they also have bitter qualities. Anything bitter. If you do digestive bitters, for those of you who use our digestive bitters, one of our most popular products, that is also something that stimulates your liver to start producing juices, including bile, because the liver produces bile, and bile ends up, guess what? Bile binds up your dirty estrogens. That's one of the mechanisms that happens, right? So liver support is huge, 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 huge. You can also do castor oil packs in your liver, and I'm going to talk about a couple of supplements in just a second. So this is really, really key. Third thing you can do to prevent breast cancers is just generally toxins. And when I say toxins, is obviously a huge topic. I cover some of them in my book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. But it's just, if I was to just simplify this, because this can be a pretty dense topic. If I was to invite my friend Lara Edler, the environmental toxins nerd, to nerd out with me here about just toxins that contribute, that are what we call xenoestrogens, so artificial synthetic estrogens. I mean, we can talk about it for 3 hours. She will talk about it for 3 hours. It's like, it can be dense and overwhelming. But here's the thing. The way I look at this, like, I like simple, including for myself, and I want to pass this on to you. One of the simplest thing I have found is this. Get your products, cleaning products, skincare products, cosmetics, right, from brands that are stored at a health food store, right? Why? Because a health food store, like a Co-op or, to some extent, Whole Foods and Lucky's and, whatever is the like more organic section, organic kind of stores. I think Co-op's actually the best, and natural grocers, if you have those in your area, is that their buyers do the work already. They do the pre-screening, the first level, so you don't have to. They are the ones that are on top of list of toxic ingredients, what should or should not be found, what are the manufacturing practices, and so on. And so it takes a lot of the work away from you. So giving a simple example, for instance, for like in my own life, I use Dr. Bronner as my soap. For shampoos, I keep varying them and trying out different things, but I tend to get them from health food stores. By the way, there's a lot of greenwashing in our industry, so not everything that you see on TikTok or Instagram is being advertised as being clean organic is actually clean and organic. So just want to preface that. But yeah, so one other thing that is going to be something that a lot of women are very surprised when I say that is your perfumes. So if you're still using like the mainstream, perfumes, like all the Chanels and whatever, right? And that stuff is just loaded with phytoestrogens. And you're putting that, whether you spray it here, right on your thyroid, women spray it here, same place where you apply topical progesterone or estrogen, right? And because of quick absorption, it just goes straight into your system. Really, really bad idea, you guys. So when I just caution you against that. So cleaning products in your house, skincare products for what you're putting on your face, what you're washing yourself with. Laundry detergent is another one. Like I'm using, for example, Molly Suds, really great brand. Brunch Basics is another great one. They're one of our partners as well. I love their stuff, right? So this, just really nice, simple things. So detox your home as much as you can. One other thing, please don't do is don't microwave in plastic, whether it's like, I don't mind you storing, like if you have to store something in plastic containers, you don't want to throw them away. I get that. I personally have everything glass. But sometimes I get it. Like it takes a while for you to detox your kitchen. But if you're using plastic, just don't microwave in plastic. That's one of the problems. And so the problem, let me just also explain the phytoestrogens that are found in all these chemicals I'm talking about, these phthalates and BPAs, and the list goes on, aluminum. What they do is they create a damage to the DNA that then causes breast cancer. Okay. So this is the reason why it is so important for you to detox your life when it comes to when it comes to prevention of breast cancers. So let's talk about the next number 4, I believe, thing to fix, and that is stress. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I just want to tell you, when I was in private practice, I used to do something called health histories. It was basically this vertical line that you draw across a piece of paper, and that women who started from inception until today. And bottom half of the paper should write down like the different big life events, like moving cities, going to a new school, being traumatic, maybe being bullied in school, getting divorced, caring for a parent, losing a business, whatever it was, right? And then she will write down the months and years, to her best memory. And then on top, she will start writing down when some of the major health events, breakdowns happened, right? And it was fascinating to see that a lot of the autoimmunity, a lot of the cancers, a lot of the, mysterious health issues, right, that started for a person was so correlated with those events. Not right away, but it was always like once things settled down, that's when the illness came out, because the body was just so exhausted from the stress of it, right? So there's so much to unpack here. There's the cortisol that's elevated. Cortisol steals progesterone. When you low progesterone, you have further estrogen dominance that can also be causing, contribute towards breast cancers. You have your inflammation goes up, your blood sugar levels go up. I mean, there's so much. You don't sleep properly, right? So all of that. What I'm saying is, do not let stress rule your life. There's time for, there's times we all go through stressful times. Learn to manage it. Learn to meditate, take a breather, go for a walk, get yourself a dog, whatever it might be that helps you to relax or offset that stress with things that make you really happy, like going for a walk. Like for me, is going for a walk in the woods, or getting a hug from a loved one, right? Getting a massage, calling a girlfriend you really love and care about. Those are some of the things that we can do to offset that stress. But yeah, it's a big one. Okay, next one, number 5 prevention method is going to be sleep. And I think sleep is one of the most underestimated tools that you have in your toolbox. Sadly, a lot of women, as your estrogen starts going down in perimenopause, as your progesterone starts going down in perimenopause, menopause, sleep can become a problem for a lot of women. So, we have a ton of resources on our blog post on hormonesbalance.com that if you just enter sleep, like we have a whole bunch of them. In fact, last year, I spent 8 months using my Oura Ring to monitor what kills and what improves my sleep. Right? And you need to figure out what is yours. So let me share with you mine, but yours could be different. For me, the biggest thing was early dinner. If I have later dinner because I'm going out with friends, I have no control over what time I'm eating because somebody's running late and we are starting eating dinner late, then I have half the portion that I would typically have. My dinner is as early as 5 o'clock because I have found that I want to have nothing. I want to I want to not eat. I don't want to eat 3 to 4 hours before going to bed. That's my optimal, right? Alcohol is an absolute killer for me. Even having a glass of wine completely decimates my sleep. I have almost no deep sleep whatsoever. So this is, again, thank you, Oura Ring, that tells me all of that. The other thing is caffeine. I cannot do caffeine after 3 p.m. That's my cutoff point. Having progesterone, doing progesterone at night helps me somewhat to sleep. But having said that, if I had a glass of wine and do progesterone, that progesterone ain't gonna save anything. So it's not gonna improve my sleep, okay? So those are mine, but yours could be different. It could be magnesium deficiency. It could be that you're sleeping with an open mouth and you need to tape your mouth. It could be that your husband is snoring, right? Or he likes it hot and you need to have the room cold. So we all have different preferences and needs when it comes to sleep. And that article that I spent 8 months writing should help you navigate. There's a whole a 40-point list that you can print out and start going one by one because you need to figure out what's causing your sleeplessness. Okay, some quick fixes: progesterone, magnesium can be a real savior. Okay, next, let's move on to okay, so what can you do? So one of the things that we promised you is what are some of the 5 botanicals and supplements that I highly recommend for women with a history of breast cancer or who have family history or personal health history with breast cancer. So the big thing is, if you have by the way, the Happy Sisters, our Happy Sisters kit has got a promo going on. If you buy one kit, you get the other one 50% off. And then, if you get one kit, you get the second kit free, you guys. And that expires in a couple of days, that promo. And then the second thing that's happening is that if you just buy it, say the cream, you get BOGO 50%. So buy one, get one, the second one 50% off. So it's a pretty cool promo. And it's actually a really nice gift as well. And the creams smell so nice. So What's in the supplement though? What's gonna be, so the cream gives you relief, but it's not a prevention mechanism, right? I'm talking about here about prevention. So the prevention is gonna be the first thing you want to look at if the history is with estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, is DIM that upregulates your phase 1 liver detoxification. The second one is going to be sulforaphane that's found in broccoli sprouts. However, broccoli sprouts can vary in content of sulforaphane from very high to very low. If you want a standardized amount that you got to go with a supplement, I'm not discouraging you from eating sprouts. In fact, I keep showing videos on how to sprout and my own sprouting thing, and I keep sprouting everything. I actually got a new batch started for fenugreek because it helps with blood sugar balance. And but you wouldn't really know how much sulforaphane there is. So controlled, for example, like we buy from our sulforaphane seeds, our broccoli seeds from a company called True Brock, and they actually have a lab that they test the amount of sulforaphane, so that they are raw material supplier, and I just love them. So that's gonna be your sulforaphane, and that helps. By the way, sulforaphane, and I've written articles about it, sulforaphane has an incredible chemical profile of being able to kill stem cells of cancer, breast cancer specifically. That's how potent of a substance it can be. It also helps you with liver detoxification, lowers inflammation. So just a wonderful supplement to have on hand. We have ours in our stores called Broco Power. So like broccoli, Broco Power. Next one is calcium D-glucarate, a very underestimated supplement, weird name. And I wish we could call it something else, but whatever. I also want you to know and be educated about it. Calcium D-glucarate is not a calcium for bones. The calcium is just there as a binder. Is the glucuric acid that needs to be connected to something, and it happens to be calcium. But this is the one supplement that helps you detoxify your glucuronation pathway. This is one of the pathways that's very unsupported, and very few things actually support the pathway in terms of detoxification of estrogens. A lot of estrogens get metabolized in the methylation pathway, in the sulfation pathway, but also in the glucuronation pathway. So calcium D-glucarate helps you to overcome that, to detox those. Remember how I talked about the clean and dirty estrogens? That's the dirty estrogens that can sneak in through the glucuronation pathway, and you're not catching them, binding them up. So this is when a supplement can be really helpful. This is, we have a kit that helps you save whatever is the, I don't know, $20 or something. When you get the estrogen reset kit, we have all these 3 products that are put together in there because they really help you to detox estrogen in a complete way. A couple of other things to consider is magnesium. So, magnesium is just all around, especially if you look at our website on like what are the magnesium deficiency symptoms. And one of it is, for example, having cravings for chocolate is one of the, clear signs that you might be low on magnesium, kind of an interesting one. But also a lot of like body pains and aches, and having cramps and having poor sleep, right? So our favorite forms of magnesium is magnesium glycinate, threonate, or malate, not oxide, okay? And if you say, oh yeah, my multivitamin has magnesium in it, it's most likely not enough because they just put a lot of everything. And magnesium is such a big, some women are so deficient in magnesium, you need 600, 800, sometimes 1600 milligrams in order to replenish. And when you replenish, you can do something called the bowel movement test, where you keep going up on your magnesium dose, and then until you get loose stool, and then you back off. So, and then lastly, there is remember how I said how important the liver is. So I gave you a lot of ideas on nutritionally how to support your liver, but there's also one other thing that you can add on from a supplement point of view, because I feel like the food and the supplement, when they're put together, it's like 1 + 1 = 5, So for that, you've got a couple of things. NAC, which is like your precursor for glutathione, can be extremely helpful, 900 milligrams a day. Milk thistle is another one. It's an herb, right? Dandelion root, gentian. Those are some of the herbs that are not, gentian is, you don't want to eat it because it's super bitter. But like, for example, our digestive bitters contain gentian. There is a very nice formula that I take that personally every day. It's called Daily Liver Detox. So Daily Liver Detox is a product in our store that contains NAC, milk thistle, alpha lipoic acid, and selenium that helps to recycle glutathione. So the LAA, alpha lipoic acid, helps to recircle glutathione. Selenium is there for the anti-inflammatory effects. So yeah. So that's what we have. So let me just do a recap. 5 prevention methods, you guys. You can commit to this easily, especially if you've been in this community for a while. We talk about this all the time, right? Get your diet cleaned up to being highly anti-inflammatory diet. Reduce your sugar, especially start doing savory breakfast. Number 2, reduction of toxins. Number 3, liver support. Number 4 is reducing sleep. Number 5 is improving your sleep at all costs and being committed to that. So we talked about the 5 botanical supplements: DIM, sulforaphane, calcium D-glucarate, magnesium, and liver supporting herbs such as NAC, milk thistle, selenium, alpha lipoic acid, and different herbs like ginseng or dandelion root. Okay. Woo, there's a lot of things. So Jen, why don't we just take a look if there's any questions, and then we can start wrapping up. Is estradiol okay? So so it depends on what form. It depends on your health history. It depends how you're detoxing it. If you, for example, have a history of breast cancer, I'll be very careful with estradiol. And I would want to do a test before and after and just seeing how well you detox that estradiol from your body. You can do that by using Dutch. So I just want to read one comment here from Instagram. Lisa is saying, yes, hysterectomy in 2019 with estradiol, 2021 estrogen positive breast cancer. Yes, all of my oncologists believe it caused it to grow faster. So the question is also, one thing I didn't cover here on today's call is the relationship between estradiol and progesterone. We want them to be balanced out as well. And so when you're supplementing with estradiol, it might be a good idea to also be supplementing with using progesterone, and work with your physician on that as well. The other thing is that estradiol on its own wouldn't cause that. Is how their estradiol gets broken down to those clean and dirty estrogens makes a big difference, Lisa. And that's something that you can test. That's why testing through Dutch is a really good idea. Kate is saying, God, I never know if I should be on bioidentical HRT. So I hope that today's conversation helped you a little bit. And I still feel like you should do your own research and figure out. There is a great book, you guys, especially for those of you who are still worried about bioidentical hormones, and I completely understand that. Read a book called Estrogen Matters. I like the first part of the book where he explains where WHI went wrong, how actually estrogen helps women, how it helps to prevent cardiovascular diseases, which, by the way, women in menopause, we catch up to men with our cardiovascular issues because of low estrogen. Everything from incontinence to bone health to cardiovascular, brain function. I mean, the whole, just how we feel and the benefits of that. But I just want you to be really comfortable with that. And so read the book, get the book. And I think it's got a really awesome information there. And so now Lisa is saying, now I'm in endocrine therapy to block estrogen for 8 more years. It's hell. Yeah. So you might want to actually talk to, my suggestion would be to find a physician who understands bioidentical hormones and your health history and work with someone like that, not just do estrogen blockers. So Tracy's saying, so we shouldn't be getting estrogen. They put it in an IUD and it was just informed it has estrogen released. Yeah, so that's a different kind of estrogen that's going to be working locally. It's not going to have the benefits of what we talked about here systemically. Kate is saying, I also hate that his doctor, this doctor always talks about atrophying vagina. I know. Is there going to be a reply? Yes. So once I hang up, I'll post it on the page. What is good estrogen? So good estrogens is, you can see that on your test. That's going to be your 16 hydroxyestrone. And if you have a well-functioning COMT, then 4 can also be helpful if it's metabolized correctly. It's a little bit more complicated. Yeah, somebody's suggesting functional doctor instead of traditional. Absolutely. Tracy's saying, I'm always seem to be in a fog. My doctor says it's normal. It's my levels are all okay. Yeah. So it all depends on what levels you're talking about, right? Like if it's done through blood, for example, then it's going to be pretty useless to be measuring your hormone, your steroid hormones through blood. You know, when I was in private practice, people come with their lab work done through blood and being told that everything is looking great. And this person has hot flashes and she's got history of fibroids and she couldn't get pregnant when she was younger. It's like nothing was ever making hormonally. It just didn't seem like this person was well at all based on her symptoms. Yet, you know, the danger of just looking at lab work and not listening to the patient is the fact is that they just tell you it's in your head and that's normal, or it's part of your menopause. Let me just tell you this, like I'm in perimenopause right now and I started feeling the effects about a year ago. I started feeling pretty crummy and, you know, and I wasn't going to allow that to happen. And so I tried food, and it helped initially. Then doing phytoestrogens from food alone wasn't enough. So I went the DHEA route, topical DHEA. It's helped me a lot, got me motivated to exercise again. I've lost some weight, as in like my weight shifted from fat to back to muscles. And then, you know, and then I started adding estradiol as well. I just feel like it helps helping my brain function as well. So, you know, I am not intending to be feeling like a menopausal lady that they are, you know, that we kind of in traditional medicine, we are in allopathic medicine, we are kind of destined to be feeling this way. That is absolutely not correct. And you can do a lot to not just feel like yourself, but even feel better than your old self. And that's how I'm feeling actually right now, is I'm feeling better than I even did in my 30s. All right, let's take a look at Facebook and then start wrapping up. Jen, do you want to just pop up another one? Veronica is saying, is there anything that can help me with hormonal acne? So hormonal acne is typically due to high testosterone levels, and high testosterone levels in women who are still cycling will be due to high blood sugar levels. And that's what drives up testosterone levels. Excessive testosterone can be causing hormonal acne. Okay. How do you spell Dutch test? DUTCH. Yeah. Okay. Can too much bitter food can cause low blood pressure? Never heard of that. I don't think so. There's Christy saying, I would like more information about the window for topical bioidentical hormones. I'm 68 and have been on progesterone and bias for several years. I'm under the care of a naturopathic endocrinologist. My doses are pretty low. Yeah, so you can, I mean, you're still within the window. So the point is that you should not start, what I meant, and I hope this was clear, you should not start bioidentical hormones. Let's put it back on the question. Thank you, Jen. You should not start bioidentical hormones if you have never been on it before age 65 or 10 years after menopause, okay? You can continue on taking it until for as long as you want, as long as you caught the window before, right? So Christy, you're in that window already, you know, and so it sounds like, I mean, where can you get the information from? So get the book. It's called the Estrogen Matters. That's a really great book to start off with. I appreciate, just to share with you my thoughts on the book, I appreciate the first part of the book that explains what went wrong with WHI. And then the research behind how a lot of the hormones can actually help women feel better and actually really improve the quality of our life and longevity. The second part of the book, he's kind of dissing maca, he's dissing herbs, and I kind of have a problem with that because I found out later that he's actually on the board of a number of pharmaceutical companies. So there is that component too. But I think the first part is really good. So Christy, I think if you're feeling great, then just keep going. And if you feel like something is missing, then you're feeling suboptimally, then work on your physician to adjust the doses. And maybe, try out even DHEA and see how that helps you. DHEA was profound for me in how I've been improving my symptoms. So, okay, next one. What is the best type of magnesium to take? So I mentioned glycinate is number 1. Number 2 is malate, can be energizing for some. Number 3 would be threonate. That's really helpful for brain function. So those of you who are just said you're foggy, it depends on why you're foggy. If it's because of magnesium deficiency, magnesium can help. But if it's because of estrogen being low, then you need to correct your estrogen, right? So is the it's what's low, right? By the way, we sell all our magnesium in our store. We sell glycinate as magnesium replenish. That's our number 1 selling product. Surprise, surprise. Number 2 is Mag Energy is magnesium malate. So that's why we call it Mag Energy, because it's energizing. Then Brainy Mag is for your brain. So they can help tremendously with brain fog. So that's magnesium threonate. So those are the 3 I would highly recommend. The one that you don't want to be using is magnesium oxide. Okay. One more question, and then we can. People asking about my book. You can get my book on Amazon, you guys. If you just enter Magdalena Hormones, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one with the books. Okay, let me just. Is there anything else, Jen, that we missed? Somebody's asking, are these detox supplements good for men as well? Yes, they can be. And one thing that's interesting for men is that estrogen dominance in men manifests in form of prostate problems, which, is one of the big issues for a lot of people. Doris, is it? Doris recently heard that taking calcium up to 60 can increase cardiovascular episodes. Yes, but it's only if it's calcium alone. I wasn't talking about calcium. I was talking about calcium deglucarate, completely different function. And the calcium you're talking about is when it's not supported by magnesium and other minerals that can deposit and harden the arteries. That is correct. When and how do I do magnesium? How do you know if you're deficient? Dutch. No, Dutch is not going to show you that. You can do a blood test that shows magnesium levels, but also going by symptoms and just taking magnesium, see how you feel. It's such a safe mineral. It's not going to do anything, even if you're not. Most people are deficient. On our website, if you go to wellena.com, our store, and look at magnesium, we have symptoms of to know whether you're low on magnesium. One way the bowel test method that I described earlier was about taking magnesium, starting off with 300 milligrams, go up to 600 milligrams until you get loose bowels, and then you back off and reduce your doses. Once you're saturated magnesium, then you are not going to need as high of a dose, but use your bowels to tell you when are you saturated magnesium, and then you can back off. Okay. All right. I hope this is helpful, you guys. I just really, the major takeaway I wanted from this call today is for you to know this is not to be fearful of estrogen in itself. And remember that estrogen alone is not what causes breast cancer. There's a lot more that goes into it. And I hope this call has kind of explained what it is, and most importantly, so that you get your quality of life back using estrogen, whether it's phytoestrogens, whether it's bioidentical estrogens, and not be fearful. But also, if you do have the history, how to test and how to monitor how you're breaking down those estrogens, so you don't get into you don't get any surprises further down the road. Okay, thanks everyone. And I don't know about you, but I feel like the weekend is around the corner, so I just want to wish you a very happy weekend. Thanks. Bye-bye.